People who've worked hard, who are trying to contribute to society here, and who, of course, will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And we believe that they'll start to be able to apply for that potential green card and pathway to citizenship later this summer. So it is going to take a little bit of time for this to ramp up. And effectively, this is anybody who would qualify under this would have to meet those criteria as of yesterday. And today, when we are getting more details, people will estimate that that will apply to around 500,000 people who are in this country and married to Americans. Now, that's the part that really covers more of the parole in place. In terms of DACA and the expansion for Dreamers, we understand that because they will be able to apply for these work visas if they meet certain requirements, that's another really large portion of the population here that has been able to apply to these programs since former President Obama put them into place. And you're going to hear President Biden talk about that larger context as well. And he's going to say that he still believes overall that some of this immigration system is still broken, and that's why the Biden administration has tried to take some steps to work on it. But he's also going to make this larger political message that the White House really believes that the best way to do that and to tackle it would have been to pass bipartisan border legislation, which was torpedoed by Republicans earlier this year. So expect him to bring that up again and to say that the best way to deal with this would be to try to pursue something larger. But we all know that in this re-election year and with this Congress, that is not likely. And we do also know, Jose, this is a major political vulnerability for the president, and that is a part to the backdrop as well.
Yeah, and I mean, important that this is targeting people who have been here for 10 years or more. Julia, the plan grants what's called parole in place to people that are undocumented. There are millions of mixed immigration status families in our country. How has that 500,000 gotten to?
Well, look, Jose, I think what a lot of people don't realize is there's a large portion of people in this country, you just mentioned, White House estimates that to be around 500,000, who, yes, they're married to U.S. citizens, but that did not guarantee them status. Because they crossed the border illegally, unlike other people who say maybe had a visa overstay but came in initially legally, those people, if they want to claim legal status, get a green card through their marriage, they would have to leave the country. And in many cases, someone might go back to their home country and not be able to get back in. They could have to wait up to 10 years. When you're talking about people who are married, people who have children, people who have jobs here, that's an incredibly risky thing to do. And so what a lot of those people have decided to do is just continue to live with their undocumented status inside the United States. A lot of these people as well are DACA holders. But this executive action could give them some more security, because if they're able to get a green card, even if this executive action is undone later on, it would be a lot harder to undo someone having a green card than, say, that DACA status that they have to renew every few years. And so these people are hoping for more security. They're going to, people I've spoken to so far say they're going to apply as soon as they are able, and that if they've been living from each DACA renewal to the next, they think this will give them the security to be able to say to their employers, look, I'm here to stay, and also to give that security to their families, Jose.
Yeah, and Julia, I mean, what are the legal challenges likely that we're going to likely see from this?
Well, I think that they could be swift, and we've already seen, countless challenges to any executive actions and orders from this presidency, a lot led by a legal group by Stephen Miller, who was the immigration advisor to President Trump. They could say that this is an executive overreach, that it goes too far, really similar arguments to what we saw under DACA. But I will say one way this could be harder to get around is for those who are able to get this status before a legal challenge could knock it down. It would be harder to revoke that because they would be on their pathway to citizenship rather than having something that has to be renewed every few years. But it's all about the timing here. If this is enjoined quickly and it's not able to make it through that phase that they're going to go through after they put it in the Federal Register and open up for applications, then yes, this could be something that wouldn't see the light of day. So all about timing now and what the courts would decide if and when there's a legal challenge, Jose.
And so, Julia, it seems as though these 500,000 people are essentially getting a streamlined process to green card eventual citizenship.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are saying they will still review cases on a case-by-case basis. We also have to point out the fact streamline is a relative term these days because USCIS, the agency that oversees all of these applications for anyone who's trying to adjust their legal immigration status inside the United States, they are overwhelmed, especially because of the nearly 10 million migrants who have crossed the border under this administration, most of them trying to claim asylum. They have to review those applications as well. They're slammed. And even if you have a fee-based system that allows them to hire more people, it takes time to ramp that up. So it's something where a lot of these people I've talked to so far, in fact, we'll have some of an interview with a potential recipient in the next hour. They're hopeful, but they also realize this could take time, and they are just hoping that they are eligible and that they get this before future administration could reverse it, Jose.
ABC's Monica Alba and Julie Ainsley, thank you both so very much. Really appreciate it. And joining us now is Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia from California. He's a member of the Hispanic Caucus and part of the Biden campaign's National Advisory Board. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanking you for your time. Let's talk about this because, I mean, few people understand the difficulties of navigating our broken immigration system than you, right, and your family. But you are just one of literally millions of people who have had to deal with the broken immigration system. What do you see as this executive action helping, and what's the impact of this?
I mean, first, this is a historic day for not just immigrant families, but for the country. Thank you, President Biden. This is just a momentous day. There are so many families that are going to be able to stay together because of this action. We're talking about 500,000 people in this country, possibly more, that will be able to actually stay with their family. And let's remember, a lot of folks assume that if you are married to a U.S. citizen, you have somehow automatic citizenship. That's not the way it works. Oftentimes, these spouses have to actually leave the country, separate from their families to begin a process to residency. And so this keeps families together. It puts, again, 500,000 plus people on a pathway to citizenship. So this is transformational. And imagine being the child, an American citizen, and having a mom or a father who is undocumented but married to your other parent and not being able to have your family together. That is the real impact that this law is going to change. You know, I immigrated here as a young kid. The citizenship process was incredibly hard. And so today's an emotional day for a lot of us, for immigrants across this country, and the support also for dreamers, the ability for DACA recipients, the hope that it brings so many people is really great to see. So this is a very, very special day.
You know, I don't know if you could see the pictures that we're putting up on screen as we speak with you, but, you know, there are pictures of you as a little kid there with your mom, and then a picture, you know, years later also with your mom. I mean, you know, so much is lost when politics are mentioned. So much of the human cost and benefits are lost when we talk about this or anything else. And I'm just wondering, Congressman, you know, as President Obama created DACA, he then tried to implement DAPA, or Deferred Actions for Parents of Americans and Lawful Permanent Residents, before it was struck down by an appeals court. That never saw the light of day. Do you think that this one has a chance to survive?
I do. And I think that, you know, the president has taken his time, been very thoughtful. His team has been very thoughtful. And let's not forget that President Biden actually introduced an immigration reform package on his first day in office. And he has been working to try to get something done through Congress. And we know that this extreme conservative majority has failed to move any sort of action for immigrants, for folks here that are just trying to be here and to work and be part of this country. And so I do believe that this is not just legally sound, but the humane thing to do. This is the right thing to do. And this is not only going to benefit these families, it's going to benefit our economy. It's going to benefit our national security. It's going to benefit families across neighborhoods in this country that just want to stay together and to contribute. And so I applaud the administration. I think that you are going to see an overwhelming reaction from our community, from the Latino community, in support of this. And I'm already hearing from families and from people across the country, and it is very exciting. It is an important day for our community.
It certainly is. And I just keep thinking back. I mean, on this program, on this network, we have introduced people who have seen their families divided, some for over 10 and 13 and 15 years because of something like this. And it's one of the points of pride for me, quite frankly, that we're able to bring in these stories of men, women, and children. I'm going to tell you this, Congressman. It's important that we always underline that presenting a proposal that may or may not have a chance of even being read doesn't inoculate you from action. And so this action today, I'm wondering, because it creates so much hope. And it creates so much, and you know, I bring you back to that picture of you with your mother. It creates hope for people that they can live in this country, come out from the shadows, and stop fearing something as basic as family separations. This is important, and I'm just wondering, politics plays into everything, unfortunately. Why now? Why with just months before an election? Why now? Why not before? And action can be taken as well as presenting proposals that may have no shot at it, just to say, I did something.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think let's be real honest about what's happened in the last year or two. I mean, the president had a proposal on the table. Congress didn't act. Then he put together a second proposal that was both about border security and immigration reform, and actually trying to move and create a more solid asylum system. Republicans chose not to act. In fact, they listened to Donald Trump, who tanked the legislation in the Congress. And so he then decided to take action on his own. And so we are here today because the president made a promise to our community, and he's living up to it. And I'll say one other thing. These folks that are now going to be on a pathway to citizenship are going to be some of the most patriotic Americans in this country. They love this country. They work hard. They get up. They're oftentimes doing jobs that nobody else wants to do. They are invested in our neighborhoods. These are good, hardworking people like my family, like myself. I was given a shot that every single kid in this country should get, to raise their right hand, to pledge an allegiance to this country. And here we are today. I'm being able to give back to our community. So I'm proud of the president today.
Congressman Garcia, it's always a pleasure to speak with you on a day like today, maybe even more. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And joining us now with more on this is Ashley de Acevedo, the president of American Families United. Ashley, it is great seeing you. Her husband is undocumented, came to the U.S. 18 years ago from Brazil. She'll be at the White House for the president's announcement today. Ashley, thank you for being with us today. I'm just wondering what goes through your mind, and how what goes through your mind is probably what is going to be going through the mind of so many people in this country.
Well, first, thank you for having me. This is an amazing opportunity for our families right now. As far as what's going through my mind, I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm optimistic, and I'm going to keep fighting to make sure that all of our families are covered and they're included.
What do you think are the main obstacles